Good to have you along here on this Friday, Kevin, BJ, and Ben. So much to get to here on the show, including a near no-hitter for the Braves last night, Game 6 of the Hawks and 76ers coming up tonight, where you could have the Hawks going to the Eastern Conference Finals, or the Conference Finals in general for the first time in about 8 years, and only the fourth time since they moved to Atlanta of going to the conference finals if they can get a win tonight. So we'll get to all that. We've got some early college football over-unders put out there by Caesar Sportsbook of William Hill. We'll look at some of those out there as well. Sean Quinn, head coach of Savannah State, will join us as they have some camps coming up. Also some breaking news about SEAC football and basketball games in relation to some ways that you'll be able to see them coming up in 2021. So much to get to here on the show, including, as I mentioned, Braves and Hawks in a big game last night, and certainly Game 6 coming up tonight in Atlanta. So a big one, BJ and Ben, for Atlanta tonight to not have it go back to Philly for a Game 7.
Huge opportunity. And I kind of think you have to treat it with the urgency, with the intensity that it is a Game 7. And if you end up losing, Ben, hey, you got one more chance. You got to go back to Philly, and that's going to be tough. But think about the opportunity you have. You are at home. You have the momentum of one of the great comebacks in the history of the postseason. And Kevin, you're talking about a chance to close out the number one seed potentially tonight at home with, a lot of people talking about you nationally for the first time. This is a huge spotlight, an incredible spotlight, a major opportunity. And, Brooklyn, Milwaukee going 7 now. So if you'd have said, Kevin, at the beginning of the year or a couple of months ago, hey, the Hawks have a chance to win a game and then sit back and wait and watch who they're going to play in the Eastern Conference Finals, you'd have looked around and said, what? So I understand there's a Game 7 potentially still out there. We all do. But I do think tonight, because you're at home, because you have the momentum, because you have the confidence right now, this is a huge spotlight, a huge opportunity, and I think you treat tonight like it's Game 7 and give it everything you got.
Certainly, this is the one you want to get. I think even as poorly as the 76ers have played in second halves, BJ, you just don't want a decider game going on the road in an opponent's home arena, right? I mean, that's just – I know the Hawks shut them up in Game 5, but you got to do it again if you get to that point. Tonight, everything's kind of in your favor. Other teams on the ropes. You got the home crowd, home court. You got a little room to play with. You can play loose. I think you try to finish this thing off tonight and not even give Philly a chance to take it back home in a Game 7.
Well, and this is important too, and I wanted to get y'all's thoughts on this because we've seen Atlanta a couple of times in this series, right? Get down 15, get down 18, get down 20, get down 25, and find a way to come back and win. And that's been remarkable, and it's kind of been the theme of the series. But I think if that happens again, even though you've done it, I mean, the odds of doing that multiple times now moving forward, really unlikely. So I know because what we've seen the Hawks do, if this is a 15-point game, an 18-point game in the second quarter, I think most of Hawks Nation will look around and go, okay, we're still in it. But I do think it takes so much out of you, right, to have to battle back from a 20, 25-point deficit. I think the first quarter and a half going to be really important tonight. Because and the reason why, Kevin, not that they can't, but if Philly builds a double-digit point lead, I mean, can you do that a third time? I think you want to, be close throughout here, especially early.
Yeah, I think that's a key point that obviously people, BJ, kind of overlook there from the first couple of games or the last couple of games where you're like, oh, the Hawks got this. Never mind the fact that they were down huge. Well, Philly just blew one of the biggest leads the biggest lead in the last 25 some odd years of the playoffs. I mean, how many times do you expect that to happen just because you can? And I think you're seeing it. My rebuttal to that would be, look at what's happening across town with the Atlanta Braves, where so many times it's like, it's okay. They're losing or tied 7th, 8th, 9th inning. They'll find a way to come back and win. Well, I mean, there's only so many times I think you can bank on that. We see that with football teams all the time. They're like, man, they just come back in the fourth quarter. They were down 14 points and managed to come back and win. Then the next week, they were down 17 in the third quarter, came back and won. It was like, well, how many times can you keep going to that well and, bailing yourself out and overcoming those things. I mean, I think if they're down 25 again, I mean, that's why you may think you can do it. That's obviously not the ideal scenario to keep putting yourself in. So Philly obviously has something. The Hawks have had counters to that in the fourth quarter, last couple of nights as well. So very interesting to see how they balance that out. I think if you get down 20 again in the third, fourth quarter, that's going to be tough to just say, yep, we'll just roll in it one more time. We'll talk more about the Hawks coming up here in just a little bit. But BJ joining us here on the phone. They went off to a great start and have got a lot of national pub for what they've been doing on the field and certainly around the field with their baseball team. Savannah Bananas head baseball coach Tyler Gillum joins us here on 3 and Out. Tyler, welcome to the show. How are you?
What's going on, guys? Man, I'm doing well. I appreciate you guys having me on. You guys doing all right?
Yes, sir. We're doing fantastic, and you guys are obviously not just the talk of the town, but the talk of the sports world. I know you guys have received some national pub as well for kind of how you guys are doing things. And from your perspective, what's it like to sit in that manager's or head coach's chair every night and kind of take part in the spectacle?
And it's awesome. This place the Banana Land is awesome. We've had the fans have come out every single night. We're at full capacity, so we've got a packed house. The fans have been phenomenal, and we've got a great group of boys. These guys have bought into everything that we're doing down here and impacting fans every single game, but playing hard. And we're 13-1 right now, and as a manager, I'm just kind of sitting back and trying not to mess them up, man. I just try to put the lineup out there and let these boys go play because we got a phenomenal group.
I was going to say there's winning, there's having fun. You guys are great at both. What's it like being a part of that, as Kevin said, managing that and just, getting to win, but also do some, really incredible, entertaining things as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're trying to do. I mean, when I first took this job back in 2018, the goal was to be the best on the field and the best in the stands, and we're doing that right now. We're selling out every single game. Actually, 2 days ago, we sold out all of our games for the summer, so there's no tickets available that are left to come to a Savannah Bananas game. And then we're 13-1. We started the summer on an 11-0 streak, and the joke was we are undefeatable. And so we ended up losing a game, and then we were playing a doubleheader at Macon. We lost the first game, and then the second game we threw a no-hitter and won 9-0. So, man, it's a fun group of guys. The videos that you guys are seeing, it's wild down here. These guys are bought in, and it's fun showing up to the ballpark every day.
I was going to say, as a head coach of a team, obviously when you deal with baseball teams of that sort, there's going to be things going on in the stands, but you guys are part of the entertainment in between innings as well. Talk about the guys you bring in, and you kind of say, listen now, it's Savannah Bananas. We're going to be playing baseball, but you're going to be doing some other stuff potentially as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the vision is this, though, if you just look at it like, oh, you got to go do a player dance in the second inning, or you got to go into the stands and throw bananas or throw T-shirts or hand roses to little girls, or, you got to get on the dugout and do a dance or the YMCA or something. Like, if you just say that, some guys might be like, I don't know if I want to do this. But if you say, hey, guys, we're trying to impact the world. We're trying to leave a lasting impact. We're trying to make baseball fun for fans that don't necessarily love baseball, but the vision that we try to give to the guys, that every single night that we want to compete our butt off on the field, but we want to leave a never forget moment to a fan that's going to show up to the game. And every one of us have had a never forget moment at a sporting event, right? Maybe you met a player, maybe you got a ball, maybe you got an autograph, or some memorabilia that you can take home. We all have those never forget moments. So we're trying to create those pretty much every second that a fan is in the stands from 5:30 to 10 o'clock at night. And so when you look at it like that, it's a lot bigger than the game of baseball. We're trying to ignite energy into the fans and give them a smile on their face, so when they leave, they'll have a never forget moment.
With that in mind, how special are the relationships between you and your players and your team and the fans and the community?
Yeah, I mean, it's great from that standpoint. The community's rallied around us. We've got, I've got two players that have played for me the last 4 years, which doesn't happen in summer collegiate baseball. Kyle Louise and Bill Leroy, and League is leading the league in wins, and strikeouts right now, and Bill Leroy is leading the league from a catching standpoint. Probably he's probably the most liked player in summer collegiate baseball in the country. Man, everybody knows who this kid is, and it's special from that standpoint. I mean, that doesn't happen in summer baseball too much. It's it's kind of like, usually it's like, hey, this kid is from this town and this school maybe, and then they go home and the community kind of forgets about that player. But all the videos that Bill Leroy has done, man, he's a legend here in Banana Land, and it's really cool to have those guys here for 4 years. And both those guys, they're more than just players. They're like my little brothers, to be honest with you. So it's a cool experience.
I was going to say, you speak to the kind of the whirlwind that is playing in the summer baseball, where, as you said, you have guys from all over the country who are from college programs. They come in, they play a packed schedule there for a couple of months, and then and on top of that, with the Savannah Bananas, you guys are throwing a little extra out there as well. It's got to be a lot of fun for those guys, but obviously probably one of the most insane summers they've had if they've never been a part of it, coming in and playing there.
Yeah, there's a couple of YouTube videos that we've done with like post-season interviews with the players. You guys can look that up on YouTube, and I think they're called the thank you videos. And what you'll see is all those players, they all say, this is the most fun we've ever had playing baseball. The fans that rally around us and the experience that they get to have, it's not too often that you get to play in front of 4,000, 5,000 fans every night and, sign 100 autographs, and you're pretty much a celebrity. So, man, I tell these guys every single night is don't take it for granted. This stuff can go away really quick, and you got to appreciate every single one of these moments. So when people are driving from Minnesota or New York or California to come watch you guys play, man, they're spending a lot of time to come, time and money to come watch you guys play. So let's put it on a show for them and create a never forget moment.
And talk about through it all, Coach, still teaching the game, developing talent, having guys that are incredibly committed and gifted, helping them reach that next level, and still teaching and growing the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just entertainment here in Banana Land. I'm trying to create the best experience for summer baseball, where there's going to be entertainment and fans, but also, like, from a player perspective, they can come here and they know they're going to get better. They're going to get better as an infielder. They're going to get better as a base runner, as a hitter, as a pitcher. And, the staff that we have here, assistant coaches, Corey Pye, our coach, does a phenomenal job of developing pitchers. You got Eric Fox, who's a great hitting guy, and Adam Morrow, who's our new assistant this year. They work their butts off. And so it's very important for us to develop guys. We actually have a development team that does analytics and video for us. That's a new thing that we've done this year. So it's not just entertainment. We're trying to help guys reach their overall goals of getting to Major League Baseball too.
Tyler Gillum joining us here on 3 and Out. And finally, I understand you guys are on the bus on the road to the next contest. Are the bus rides as wild as the baseball games?
Yeah, it's always crazy. We film videos on here, especially at night after the games. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the game Mafia, but if you're a summer collegiate baseball coach, listen to this. Every one of those guys know exactly what Mafia is. It's one of the games that the guys play, and it gets pretty rowdy in the back of the bus. People start figuring out who the cops are, and it's funny. It's a great game. But, yeah, man, the bus rides are fun. They bring a lot of memories. Some of the best memories are on the buses.
Tyler Gillum, our guest here, head coach of the Savannah Bananas. And again, just off to a rip-roaring start there. And as you said, sold out for the rest of the season. Tyler, appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Hey, always appreciate you guys having me on, man. Hope to speak with you guys soon. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Tyler Gillum joining us here on 3 and Out, and just a wild time there at Grayson Stadium. You never know what you'll get there each and every night. We've got more to get to here on 3 and Out, all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you here on this Friday. Kevin, BJ, and Ben. Hawks game 6 coming up tonight. We'll see if they can push their way through to the conference finals for just the 4th time in the last 50 some odd years since they've been in Atlanta. And the Braves tonight trying to go for 2 in a row. I mean, could they get 2 in a row tonight after a just obviously a gut performance last night from Charlie Morton, BJ, going no-hitter into the 7th inning and then giving the team 8 innings off the bump, a huge lift for a bullpen that's obviously getting used a whole bunch, and when they are getting used, aren't living up.
Morton was incredible, absolutely incredible last night, and that's a good team, St. Louis Cardinals. And you're talking about ended up being 7 2/3, just 3 hits, 7 strikeouts, 0 earned runs. So at times we've been critical of Morton on the show. He was fantastic, elite last night, and you saw the boost it gave the team. And it's amazing. I keep going back to starting pitching, and I understand you've had injuries, obviously, and we still don't know what's I guess going on with Mike Soroka, and we'll see with Huascar Ynoa. But boy, it's amazing what it does for the team when you have a starter get you to the 8th inning. Basically, you only had one appearance, quickly from Luke Jackson, and then you went to Will Smith, and that was it. Starting pitching sets the tone for everything, and he was as good as it gets. Now, are you going to get that every night? No. You're going to have to score some runs, and the bullpen's going to be relied upon. They're going to have to be better. But when you get performances like that, man, it's a heck of a first step towards a win.
I mean, isn't that why the frustration is what it is, though, BJ? When you look at the fact that you said Charlie Morton made it all the way to the 8th inning. I mean, these starters for the Braves, if you can get 4 or 5 innings out of them, you applaud them. But that also lets you know how good they can be. Being able to put – I mean, obviously, if you're a starter, you ain't going to be able to put 2 games together back-to-back. But, Kevin, when you think about this bullpen, it seems to be when you don't have to go to as many of those guys in the bullpen, they seem to play better because – you're not getting called in the 5th inning, bottom of the 5th, top of the 6th.
Okay, but hold on. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I want to make this point, right? Because Kevin, you've talked about this historically in baseball. Like in the ideal world, you're not supposed to have your bullpen pitch 5 innings a night, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of the way, unfortunately, baseball has gone, and I think people are wondering why bullpens are blowing leads more. It's because they're being used more by and large across the board. I mean, I hate to sound like the old guys like back in my day, but it really wasn't even that long ago back in my day when you say as the mid-90s. That's relatively not that terribly long ago where Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, Randy Johnson, Curt Schilling, Pedro Martinez, you go get those guys or you tell Pedro Martinez, hey, bud, I just need you to give me 6 innings. He would tell you to shut your mouth and go get back in the dugout, right? I mean, and now pitchers are almost pre-programmed well, they only want me to go 6, so if I can just somehow hump my way to the 6th inning, I've done my job. Where I think 25 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago, the idea of you making it to the 5th inning and let's call it a night, that was considered average to mediocre, right? I mean, that is you're not a good starting pitcher if that's all you can do. So I think we've seen that kind of evolve where more and more clubs are like, okay, my starter's going out there. He's throwing 90 pitches in 5 2/3. We're going to take him out. And guys aren't even trying and aren't even expected to go as far into the game as they can. Because let me tell you, BJ, if I know I can get 7 or 8 out of my starter every night, I'm sorry, that makes the Tyler Matzeks and all those guys a whole lot less, significant than they play a role than they are right now. Of course, Major League Baseball changed the rule where you got to face 3 batters coming out of the pen. And that also, I think, affect some guys. I mean, how many guys under Bobby Cox, Freddie Gonzalez, and others, and throughout Major League Baseball have we seen they're 1-out specialists? They're 2-out specialists. What's your job? Man on first, 1 out. My job is to come in and get a ground ball double play and go sit in the dugout the rest of the night. That's my job. Johnny Venters, perfect example. If Johnny Venters pitched more than 3 outs, you were like, what in the world? Most of the time it was, hey, you're a left-handed sinker baller. Get me 2 balls on the ground and let's go sit in the dugout. The end. And you just, with the new rule changes, you don't see that any. So ideally, guys like Luke Jackson probably going a batter too long. Tyler Matzek probably pitching to 1 or 2 batters more than he would in many other situations. And I think you're seeing that more and more throughout baseball where now with that rule, you're using the bullpen more, you're making them pitch to more batters in unfavorable matchups, and you're wondering why bullpens can't hold leads. because you took the specialization away, which in some ways I don't have a problem with, but mandating that you either have to finish the inning or pitch to three batters, whichever comes first, I think has taken some of the strategy out and probably has guys in bullpens pitching in situations that prior to that rule, they would be out of the game. All in the name of saving 3 minutes a night on a baseball game, which, by the way, if you noticed last night, nearly a no-hitter, still took almost 4 hours to play, despite all of Major League Baseball speeding up the game. So a lot of that is, just bloviating nonsense from Major League Baseball about trying to speed up the game, and it drives me nuts.
Does it come back down to that pitch count? I know when it comes to starting pitching, it's always pitch count. But are these relievers kind of like wearing their arms out? Like you said, Kevin, if I'm Will Smith and I'm a specialist, and I know, look, I come in to do certain things, but I come in to do that certain thing in a certain inning. If I'm coming in at the bottom of the fifth, well, even if I do what I do, I still got to go to sixth or the seventh or the eighth. How much of it is it just the fact that you getting me out of my comfort zone? Luke Jackson, bless his heart, he done seen it all before some of these other guys got here. He's seen the good and the bad. Do you think it just comes down to the fact that, like you say, starting pitchers ain't even asked to go? If you go to the sixth inning, oh, God, you doing it. But if you have a no-hitter, you only get to go to the seventh or the eighth. How much hurts in the strategy as in regard to taking away what they do the best?
I think it hurts a lot. I mean, and again, you look at how bullpens are used. I don't know if they're wearing their arms out because of that as much as they're getting used every single day, where, as in years past, if you have competent starters who can get you into the seventh and eighth inning, well, there's a big difference in a guy coming in and pitching 10 pitches in one night and a guy coming in and have to pitch 20 to 30 to get three batters out. Now you're still pitching him almost every day, but he's got to do more to get through his appearance each and every time. So I think that's part of it. And I really believe that guys are pitching in situations. Certain guys are set up to do certain things. Ground ball pitchers are guys that used to come in with one out or no outs and say, get me out of this jam, throw a ground ball, and let's go sit in the dugout. Now he's got to get 3 outs, 15, 20, 25 pitches, plus the warm-ups in the bullpen every night. It adds up, and it adds up quickly, and you wonder why it's an epidemic across Major League Baseball that nobody really has a good bullpen, or they will go through stretches where they're absolute trash. It's because, again, you're mandating 3 batters, you're pitching them more to cover more innings by and large, and I think that's not a good thing for Major League Baseball. Take some of the strategy out of it as well. If you want to be specialized, you really can't right now, other than say, this my guy in the 9th inning. Outside of that, you really are just, hey, I need 3 outs. We've got more to come here on 3 and Out. We'll get more into that. We'll get more into Hawks Game 6 coming up as well. But when we come back, we'll hear from Ross Dellinger talking about name, image, and likeness. If you missed that earlier this week, just some great stuff about what's on the horizon and coming in less than 2 weeks right here to the state of Georgia. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Great to be here with you on this Friday. Kevin, BJ, and Ben, glad you are with us all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network, streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com as well. Earlier, we had a chance to speak with Ross Dellenger. He's one of the preeminent kind of voices on name, image, likeness, which is coming into effect very soon here in this state, July 1. We had a chance to speak with him about what all the ramifications are right around the corner for collegiate athletes. He has been at the forefront in covering name, image, likeness, and all it means to college football from Sports Illustrated. Ross Dellenger joins us here on 3 and Out. Ross, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
We're doing fantastic. First off, how and why, I guess, is Congress getting involved with name, image, likeness?
Well, Congress has been involved now for, I guess, about a year and a half, and they really got involved because of the NCAA. The NCAA, specifically Mark Emmert, asked them to get involved, and that request was triggered by these states that have passed their own NIL laws. So in order to prevent having what college administrators say is a chaotic scene, differing laws, NIL laws at each state, Mark Emmert was hoping, or is hoping, to have a congressional bill to preempt all of those state laws. So December, I think, 2019 was when he made his first appearance at Capitol Hill arguing for that. And now we sit here a year and a half later, and we don't have a congressional bill. We have gotten closer maybe to one, but I don't think we're going to have one anytime real soon.
I was going to say, Ross, what are we looking at on July 1st? I mean, could it be chaotic with various state laws? And I guess you answered it there, but I mean, is there any chance at all that there's something comprehensive in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, very. I don't think there's any chance at all in any kind of comprehensive bill coming out, not just the next couple of weeks, but in the next couple of months. I don't expect that. I don't think you're going to have full chaos, like a lot of people will say, because while these state laws do differ from one another, and while they all differ from the NCAA's own legislation, which is supposed to be passed next week, they don't differ dramatically. They're small differences, like, for instance, NCAA's legislation prevents or prohibits an athlete from using a school's logo in an endorsement ad or something, while state laws, some state laws, allow that. So it's little things like that. That would be a difference. It's not enough, I don't think, for some full chaos, but there will be advantages and disadvantages. And if the NCAA next week happens to not pass its own legislation, then there will be some real issues, because then you'll have states, schools and states that have not passed an NIL law, their athletes not able at all to do any kind of NIL. But I expect the NCAA to pass its own legislation next week.
And Ross, even sticking with the NCAA, Mark Emmert is a guy, for obviously he had to be up there for these congressional hearings and things of that nature. How much is the NCAA going to kind of be kicking themselves, because they knew this was coming and they obviously were going to take their precious time? But now, do you think that, you say you do expect the NCAA to make its own legislation without this national attention on name and image likeness, without it, having congressional hearings? Do you think the NCAA would have done anything in regards to NIL?
No, and they had plenty of time to do so, and they really dragged their feet with this issue. It's been 2 years or so since California passed, the original state to pass its bill governing NIL. I think it was the spring of 2019 or summer of 2019. So it's been 2 years, and here we are, and the NCAA still hasn't passed NIL legislation. And they had to have seen this coming even before 2 years ago. The fact that California state lawmakers had the initiative to pass their own NIL bill tells you where the topic is. And it's at the forefront, and there's momentum behind it. And the NCAA didn't, and the member schools too, didn't have the foresight. And that's why we are here right now, where you have all of this, quote unquote chaos.
Ross Dellinger, Sports Illustrated, joining us here on 3 and Out. You mentioned the NCAA expected to pass something potentially next week. Does that supersede state laws? What is kind of the weight behind whatever the NCAA pass is expected to be?
No, it will not supersede any state law. And in fact, some states, their NIL law dictates that they must follow the state law and not anything else. And if they don't, they could be slapped with financial penalties. That's the case with Florida's law. They could all of a sudden not receive state funds if they don't follow the NIL law. So states that have passed an NIL law, and there's 6 of them, well, there's 19 total, but 6 that take effect July 1, those states will, the schools in those states will follow by their state law, and everybody else will follow by the NCAA's legislation. And that's how it's going to be for a while until Congress comes up with a bill.
How much consistency, if any, will there be on college campuses in terms of how much, I guess, involvement programs have in terms of either directly helping student athletes or kind of pointing student athletes in the right direction, or forming partnerships with PR firms or marketing agencies? Is there any consistency yet, or potential consistency on that front?
Yeah, it varies. But most state laws do specifically prohibit schools, and the NCAA's legislation as well says this, from connecting athletes in any way to businesses to profit from NIL. They make it pretty clear. You cannot do that. Schools cannot do that. So there's a fine line there. And schools can't cross it. And sometimes we don't actually know where the line is. Some state laws are a little different. But the NCAA's law is pretty cut and dry. Schools can't have any involvement with matching an athlete in a brand or a company.
And Ross, I know when it comes to NIL, these players potentially can go out there and get representation, which is something that I always was like kind of weary of, them having representation, because you're still dealing with young men and young ladies who don't know anything about negotiations. How crazy could that get? Because when you have an outside entity that has nothing to do with the NCAA, they're going to be doing what's best interest for the player, but they definitely going to be doing what's best interest for them.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's an issue that's ongoing, and it's going to be interesting to watch. Athletes can have agents, and agents can represent them. Even the big brands, these big brand agents, and sometimes they might not have the best, as you mentioned, the best for the athlete at heart. So it's really going to be interesting to watch. And the NCAA allows that. They allow agents, and so does a lot of the state laws. I think all of the state laws pretty much do. So you're going to bring agents into this. But here's the thing, a lot of the college football players and athletes, probably a lot of them won't be able to afford to have an agent. And so I think you'll see a lot of them going to companies like NIL companies to help them find matching brands and businesses.
Illustrated joining us here on 3 and Out. Been at the forefront of name, image, likeness here with college athletes. And Ross, what I'm kind of interested in, because obviously July coming up, and I know the NCAA is trying to pass their own legislations, but given how recruiting works and all of that, we here in the state of Georgia see a lot of athletes go elsewhere. What happens if you're from Georgia going and playing in, say, Michigan? Can you come home in the summer and work under the Georgia rules and name, image, likeness there, but you can't do it in Michigan? How does that work? And has that even been addressed from guys who go to school in one state and hail from another state?
Well, that's a good question. And it's part of this whole uncertainty surrounding everything. That's one of the questions out there. I think what you're probably going to see is the deals, the endorsement deals and things like that probably do have to happen through the state or in the state, but I don't know for sure. And it's questions like that we don't really have answers to yet. And I don't know that we'll get good answers until maybe there are issues that arise that end in lawsuits. A lot of times the courts end up determining those things. And, I think that will be the case here down the line, that we're going to look to the courts potentially to decide some of these laws and rules and what's allowed and what's not.
To that end, Ross, we've heard a lot about fair market value. How is that going to be determined?
Yeah, I was on the phone actually with a conference commissioner earlier today, and he asked me that exact question: who determines fair market value? And the answer is always the same. No matter who you ask, it should be the same, and that's the market. The market determines fair market value, and if anyone else determines fair market value, especially if it's the NCAA, for instance, that's called an antitrust violation. And you're talking about major lawsuits and class action suits. So because you don't have anybody that could determine what fair market value is, you may have some embellishing in some of these deals, basically above board cheating, so to speak.
And Ross, I saw something last year that said that, had name and image likeness been out, last year when Trevor Lawrence was still in college, I think he would have been able to profit like right at $331,000 a year. You're not going to see many players of his caliber we've known him since he was 14, obviously lost one. I don't think he ever lost a regular season game. How much of this name and image likeness is going to come back to the fact that a lot of these players, both men and women, live in perception with social media and all the fanfare is going to come back to, look, you thought you was worth this, but the market says you worth that.
Well, that's right. And Trevor would make easy six figures, maybe even close to $1 million. The Trevors and the Joe Burrows, it all, a lot of times it's going to depend on two things. Number one, just how good you are, right? How much name recognition you have, how good of an athlete you are, how big of a star you are, that type of thing. And two, the other thing is, how many social media followers do you have on Twitter or Instagram, whatever? Because you could be a third string right guard and somehow be a great juggler. And you might have 50,000 Instagram followers that like to watch you juggle. And you can make money off that. You can make profit off of that. You can earn compensation. So it's going to be kind of all over the place, I think, with this. You're going to have people, the top 1% of athletes, make most of the money. But you're going to have those athletes, a lot of women athletes who have a lot of social media followers and maybe can hit that six-figure mark.
Ross Dellinger, Sports Illustrated. Ross, finally, I was going to kind of just follow up to that because people hear this and they think it's just a free-for-all waterfalls of cash or falling from the sky for everybody out there. I mean, percentage-wise, how many athletes in potential schools do you think actually get affected by name, image, likeness in terms of, I guess, what people would consider significant dollar value?
Yeah, it's tough to. It really is. It's tough to kind of clamp down on that. I'm I'm not sure. I think you're going to have the most athletes get maybe around 4 to 5 figure mark. And a lot of that probably coming from their hometown businesses. I think that's going to be the most popular thing. But like I said, you're going to have that 1% or 0.5% that will make the 6 figures. And there's probably some in between, but there is going to be a big drop off.
That's Ross Dellinger. Joined us earlier this week talking about name, image, likeness. That's coming really, really soon, July 1 here in the state of Georgia. So keep your eyes out as we get close to that July 1 date or just past that July 1 date. How many guys potentially already have deals once that date hits? We got more to come. 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. And again, awesome to hear from Ross Dellinger. If you missed that or any portion of that interview, go to ESPNCoastal.com, our YouTube page, get a podcasted version of our show. You can catch all the incredible insight there about name, image, likeness, which again seems like a big, far and away concept, BJ and Ben, but you're talking less than 2 weeks now. July 1 was 2 weeks from yesterday, and it'll be in effect in the state of Georgia.
Yeah, it's here. And, reports already of, possible deals set to debut or marketing plans set to start on the 1st. So, yeah, it'll be here before you know it.
I'm looking forward to this opportunity for everybody involved. I know everybody hear these type things, and the first thing you think of is the 5-star recruit that's coming, out of the state of California to go play for Clemson when Bryce Young leaves. This is going to benefit everybody, and I'm looking forward to everybody benefiting from it.
Look, I think it's going to be a fascinating story to follow as to who has deals, who doesn't have deals, and what the, quote, true market value ends up being for these things. We've got Take 3 around the corner, some college football over and unders coming up, hour 2 of 3 and Out. Good to have you along, 3 and Out on this Friday. So much to get to here in hour number 2, including college football over and unders are out. We'll look at some of the more interesting ones out there on the board and how far off are they in our opinions. We'll get into that coming up in just a little bit. Also, it's a huge anniversary of sorts for one iconic sports movie. We'll get to that coming up this hour as well. But first, let's take 3 on this Friday. All right, take 1. Hawks tonight against the 76ers. I believe they are. I thought I read where they are wearing the MLK edition uniforms tonight for Game 6. But are the Hawks MLK uniforms the smoothest in the NBA?
Yes, very powerful, very meaningful. You know, you talk about honoring, obviously, an icon, a hero, someone who changed the world, of course, for the better. Absolutely. Love them. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, I mean it's hard to go against those. I mean, I do like Golden State when they wear the city. I think that's pretty smooth. When they wear the town, they got some really, really nice units. But I mean, when you look at the color scheme, when you look at the fact that, you know, obviously where MLK meant, and not just the city of Atlanta, but, you know, just people in general, yeah. And you know how it is, Kevin. They're only bringing them back because they won when they wore them. Had they not won them, still would be the nicest uniform, but we're gonna put it on the shelf.
Yeah, it would be the Peachtree. I like the Peachtree ones myself that the Hawks wear. I think those are. It's just kind of like an odd take for a uniform. I get what you're saying about the MLK one. What they represent is nice. But if you're talking about just what it looks like, I mean, I think who is it that the Miami Vice? Those are nice.
Miami Vices are nice. They are nice.
Those are kind of interesting as well. So I get what you're saying, but I think to me, I'm an old school guy. I don't need all the retros. The Celtics, Lakers, to me, just they look the best, even though they're pretty plain Jane, all things considered. Moving along, take 2. Do you still get emotionally affected by your team losing, or have you just been hurt too many times, like you're over it and it's like, oh, there it is again?
All right, I'm asking you, and everybody listening, what do you think? Of course you still get hurt. I mean, come on, man. Ben, you can't even watch your team play, and you're one of the greatest players in the history of your school.
Therapy.
I mean, Kevin, you can't even talk about it. I mean, Ben, I'm a lot like you. I can't watch it. I can't handle it. I mean, it's stressful, man. It hurts. It's rough. And I guess if your team loses more than you like, you kind of get accustomed to it and that you expect it, but not really, because all of us, you know, feel like, oh, okay, there's a game we can win, or okay, we're going to have a successful month here or a stretch, and then it doesn't happen, and it's just rough, man. So, look, if you're a real fan, a fan of, I don't care whoever, yes, it hurts you. Yes, Ben, I can't even talk to you. There has to be like a 2 or 3 hour waiting period after Florida loses before I can even talk to you. And when Florida plays Florida State, we have to take that day off. You and I can't even talk. We can't even be around each other. Yes, it's rough.
Do I still get emotionally affected? I still get emotionally affected by games I already know the outcome to. Like, I can go back to old games and still get mad. But number one, the reason why I still get emotionally affected, Kevin and BJ, is because there are certain things you will never grow out of. And your team is just something that you say to yourself, you love them when they win, but when they lose, the stuff you make up about why they lost, that has nothing to do with the game. You know, I told you, man, they ain't built for this. They ain't like we used to be, man. Back when I played, we wanted these opportunities. We were built for these opportunities. But this is when you know something emotionally affects you. When you say it, don't. When you say it out loud, I don't even care. I don't even know why. You would tell a random person walking by you, "Did you see the game today?" Me neither, because they stink. I mean, I pay good money for my cable to watch this nonsense. But what I can appreciate about BJ, I thought I was the only one that went through it the way I went through it. And then I was at BJ's parents' house when Florida State was playing, and I'm like, "Where's BJ?" His mom goes, "You don't know? Oh my God." BJ, if a bad play happened, BJ walks out, doesn't say anything, looks at you, and just walks back. I'm like, she goes, "This is how he is." And it's like this. At least I can say this. My mother was, well, I would hope that my mother will start respecting the fact that I don't want to know about the game. As soon as something happens, she'll come and, "Did you just see that?" No. And don't tell me. But unfortunately, she has my number, and she uses it in the most, the worst times ever. But yes, I am still emotionally affected when my team loses because they don't supposed to lose. What are they doing? That's in their contract. Nonsense.
I mean, the answer to this question should be 100% yes for everybody who's ever watch the sporting event, right? That's why you're a fan. You're a fan because you're emotionally invested, right, in your team. So, of course, you're going to get affected when they lose, but guess what? You're right back the next night or the next game right there with them. Why? Because you're emotionally invested. That is 100% why. So, if you say no, I don't get emotionally invested, then you're probably not a sports fan and you just caught something on TV and you're like, oh, that's interesting. But if you have a team that you follow passionately, that you've been watching for, I mean, I don't even care, BJ, if you're a team that traditionally stinks. If you're a Miami Marlins fan, you are emotionally invested. They lose a lot, but guess what? The fact that you can turn to a hated division rival like the Atlanta Braves and go, oh, excuse me, what's that? There's a ring here and there's a ring here. Where's your second one? Oh, that's why you're emotionally involved. It's because of stuff like that. If the winning makes the losing a little better.
No, and Ben even mentioned watching the old games. Like, I can't even do that. To Ben's point, it's like I'm watching a game where I know my favorite team wins. They've already won. It happened years ago, and when the score gets tight or we get behind, I can't emotionally handle it.
Listen, Florida State played Miami 3 years ago, and this is how the conversation went. What's up, BJ? Did you watch the game? But I don't want to talk about it. You called me to tell me yes, because we got cheated. Did you see it? I don't want to talk about it. So yes, and unfortunately, it's only getting worse. Certain things supposed to get easier as you get older. I think it's starting to get worse because you just get even more emotional.
No, dude. While we're telling stories, I call you at the end of regulation in the first round of the tournament when Florida was playing Virginia Tech, and Florida's like the most successful first-round team in the history of the NCAA tournament. And I call you and you go, I already know we lost. I'm like, no, dude. It's going into overtime, and you know y'all are like 7-0 in the tournament in overtime, and no, we're gonna lose. I can't. Don't call me. Don't tell me about it. I don't want to see it. I know we already lost.
Yeah, because we're the worst. No. We all do this. You ask us who we're going to play, we're going to say this. Man, look, I don't even want to say we're going to do well because I just don't like the way the offensive line look. The coaches, they ain't really into it. It's like we set the lowest expectation level ever, and when they win, they go, well, they'll blow it next week because that's what they do. I mean, I heard somebody say this, and this is bad. Somebody goes, when I die, I want my team to be on pallbearers. Why? So they can let me down one last time. Because that's what they're going to do. So it's rough, man. It's rough being a sports fan. But, Kevin, what else are we going to do with our lives at this point?
That's very true. Very true. Moving on, take three. And it's crazy things that catch on via Twitter. But Lee Sanderlin, who is a investigative journalist for the Clarion Ledger, apparently said on Twitter, like, look, I lost. I stink. I came in dead last in my fantasy football league. So as a penance, my punishment is to spend 24 hours in a Waffle House. He had to do it, and everybody started following the play-by-play there. The one caveat was, for every waffle you ate, you could shave an hour off. So, i.e., if you were supposed to be there 24 hours, you ate one waffle, well, you only had to stay there 23 hours. He ate 9 waffles, so he only had to stay there for 15 hours at the Waffle House. Just over 3,600 calories, almost 3,700 calories, not counting the syrup and the butter that you have to put on there. So my question for take three is, how long would you have to be up in there at the Waffle House under those rules?
Okay, first off, I think everybody is going to say, oh, man, I could eat 17, 18 waffles. No. Okay, a waffle is serious. And not only is it, the calories and the carbs and all like that, but it just sits on you, kind of weighs you down. Like, I don't think people can eat 10, 11, 12 waffles in a traditional capacity. Cody's sending a message, 2 waffles per hour for 8 hours. All right, we'll see. But what I'm saying is I'm going to try to set a real, I'm not going to go into this saying I'm going to eat 17 or 18 waffles because I'm not. And then, Kevin, you mentioned the syrup and all like that. I think maybe 5 to 7. I mean, and maybe I could then, wait 3 or 4 or 5 hours and feel like I could do a couple more, but I'm going to be up in there a while. I mean, I don't think I could do especially in a couple of hours, the 10, 12, 14. I don't think that's possible because I think at some point you're going to start not wanting to eat waffles. Like, even if you can get out, you're going to lose everybody likes waffles, but after you eat 5, 6, 7, 8, you don't want any anymore. I'm going to be in there probably 17, 18 hours.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain things in this life that are undefeated.
No. Because athletic arrogance requires me to say this, BJ. Before the show, Ben said, "Oh, I'm only going to be in there like 2 hours."
Yeah, hold on. This is my thing. Waffle House waffles are undefeated. I'm not saying they're not undefeated, and I like it when they come fresh out that little thing and they hot. I mean, I'm a bust down by 6. I'm gonna bust down by 6 about as fast as I can, because as my grandma would say, when that sweet bread gets real sweet, and you start like this, man, how many I got? I'm gonna do my best. I know I was talking crazy before the show. I'm gonna do my best to get at least 12. Now Now my thing is this. I can't eat nothing. I can't drink nothing or nothing with them. Like, you add anything with a waffle, and that's it. I gotta eat them. I ain't gonna talk to nobody. It's like I'm gonna have to act like I'm watching Florida. I ain't talking to nobody. I don't want to interact. I'm just looking down and I'm eating. Hey man, what's going on with you, sir? Not today. I need every hour. This is man versus food, Waffle House style, and I got to get it in. Kevin, I think I can get 12. I hope I can get 12. It's gonna have to be 12 because I'm not sitting in the Waffle House any longer than I need to. I ain't trying to sit there that long.
No, I love it. I'm going to say like 8 maybe, and you'd have to spread it out. Because, again, I think this is one of the more interesting challenges because, as BJ said, if you try to strategize this bad boy, you're like, well, I'll just eat a whole bunch of waffles all at once. Well, then you're full for like the next 6 hours because it all hits you at once. As you said, you pour some water on it, that waffle starts expanding in your gut. Or you could stretch it out. I'm just saying, or you stretch it out and you're like, I'm going to do 2 waffles an hour. I think somebody said, I'll do 2 waffles an hour. That's fine. But still, it's sitting there and slowly filling you up. And after a certain point, this is one of those challenges where just the smell of the waffle and syrup probably makes you nauseated. You'd be like, look, I've been here 10 hours pounding waffles. Like, I don't want to smell syrup. I don't want to look at syrup. I don't even want to smell the delicious dough of the waffle they're about to bring to me. I'm just going to hold my nose and get it down. That's why I think 8, 9 is probably like the peak. And the rest of the time, you just use those extra couple hours to lay in the booth and say, oh, go, just let me know when it's over. I mean, it's a fun challenge to try, but I don't think anybody's getting out of there in 12 hours like Ben. There's just no way.
No, you're not getting out. And the thing about waffles is, like, even with, it's not even a Belgian waffle. It's not even a big, thick one. It's like cut in half. But the thing is, like you say, Kevin, now that first one, you're gonna be, oh my God. And then that second, all right, it ain't gonna take but like 2.5. And like you said, Kevin, you like this. Did it get big? No, man. It's just like your stomach can only take so much sweet, and your stomach definitely can only take so much bread. You cannot eat a bunch of bread. And like Kevin said, you drink some water. Because when I gotta lose, that bread get to swim around your tummy, and it's not good to be good. I'm just saying 12 might be extreme, but like I said, I ain't gonna want to hear about waffles ever again. I mean, what you want to eat for breakfast? Anything but a waffle. Because I'm telling y'all, Waffle House waffles are undefeated. That's why people go, hey man, give me about. Nobody's ever said, give me 6 waffles. You can't eat 6. It's not even the way Kevin does it. The Kevin stacks them, and Kevin puts it. The syrup on the top, eats that, and goes down.
Well, that's pancakes. Don't do that with the waffles. Waffles you cut into 4s and eat like that way. You can't do pancakes. You do that way. Waffles you cut into 4 and go from there. That's my little strategy. But no, I don't think it's physically possible. I don't even know if Joey Chestnut could sit there and pound 12 waffles.
Yeah, he don't want no problems.
He'd be sitting there for 10 hours waiting for him to digest.
Okay, but he's a trained professional.
No, the thing is, if you notice, right, what he does every time he bites, like I seen him eat a big old gigantic burrito, he bites and like going. That's not gonna work when you start listening. The waffle is one thing. That syrup gonna tear it up. That syrup weighs it down.
I'm trying to see. I think Joey Chestnut. He owns the he ate 18 and a half large waffles in 10 minutes and 23 seconds. But I think he probably would have had to lay there. That still doesn't get you out of the 24 hours. I think he would have had to lay there the other 4 hours trying to recover just to be able to walk from doing that. That's take 3. We'll come back. We got more to come. College football over and unders are out. We'll hit some of the more interesting one out there, and we'll see what BJ and Ben have to say when we come back. All across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It's 3 and Out. It is 3 and Out on this Friday. Kevin, BJ, and Ben, glad you are with us. So much more to get to here on the show. Sean Quinn will join us coming up in the final hour of the program. We'll look at the Hawks game 6 tonight, coming up against the 76ers as well. But college football over and unders are out. Regular season win totals only here in this one does not include conference championship games and obviously bowl game and or playoffs. This is from the Caesars Sportsbook by William Hill. We'll just look at the favorites quickly. I'm not going to ask you to go over and under, but Clemson 11.5, Alabama 11.5, Ohio State 11, Oklahoma 11. So basically undefeated, maybe one loss at the most for both of those teams. But Georgia right there, according to this, 10.5. 10.5, are you going over or under? I mean, you look at Clemson right out the gate, you're basically betting the over-under on Georgia losing no more than one game.
Yeah, I want to explain myself here because I'm going to go under. And I know I've said, hey, Georgia deserves to be ranked in the preseason top 5, maybe top 3. You can make an argument for number 1, and I stand by that. Yes, and I also think when I do preseason rankings, it's a power ranking. It doesn't necessarily take into account, a schedule or the totality of the schedule. And right now, as of whatever day it is, June 18th, I would pick Clemson to beat Georgia. I think it's going to be close, but I would take Clemson to pick Georgia. So then I'm saying I need Georgia to go the whole rest of the way undefeated. And the last time Georgia won 11 games in a row, Herschel Walker was on the roster. So that's a hard thing for me to sit here and say in the middle of June. I will go. It's tough. You could go either way. But if I think Clemson's going to beat Georgia, I guess I got to go under.
I'm going to go under for the same. I do agree that Clemson. I would pick Clemson over Georgia, but even if Clemson, and I think what happens when you're talking about a Georgia team, it's hard to go undefeated in the SEC. I mean, the two teams we've seen do it is Alabama last year, and obviously the 2019 LSU team that had had 14, 15 guys go pro. I understand that Georgia is about as talented as you're going to be in college football, but it's just the gauntlet of the SEC. It's not that Georgia isn't going to be favored in every game they're going to be in after they play Clemson. It's just the fact that the gauntlet of trying to – and you're talking about injuries and different things. I just don't see Georgia going undefeated in the SEC. So I got them losing to either Auburn or Florida, or maybe it's a team that they're obviously better than that seems to get the best of them on that day. I.e., I go back, 3 years ago or 2 years ago now, I think South Carolina at home. I just don't see Georgia going undefeated in the SEC. I haven't seen that in my lifetime. Not saying they can't do it. It just won't be this year. And I got them losing to Clemson as well.
Again, that's a tough one. Obviously, they're made to be tough, or otherwise it'd just be easy money for everybody out there. But another interesting one with some other discussion points to it, Coastal Carolina, kind of the darlings last year of the G5, they have at 11. And here's the thing. I'll get your over-unders and then come back, and we can talk about this as well, because let me get your over-unders, and then I have something to throw in on top of that as well. Do you think 11 is basically one loss on a season?
I'm gonna go under. I mean, I don't see that happening. I mean, the thing is, Coastal Carolina is obviously the best team in the Sun Belt right now. BJ and Kevin on paper when you look at what they did last year. But even talking with their head coach, I mean, not too many weeks ago when he was saying we might be a better team, but not necessarily in the win column. I mean, App State is coming. Louisiana's coming. And just like I said about Georgia, does the gauntlet of the Sun Belt just week in and week out just get the better of them? Obviously, when you look at who they bringing back, I mean, they definitely got the talent, but I just don't see them 11 games. I got them going under.
Yeah, it's tough. You're talking about a regular season schedule that's really manageable. I don't believe they play Louisiana, but to your point, Kevin, just going with the math and the odds, I mean, even if you feel like Coastal Carolina's a top 10, top 15 team, are they going to go undefeated in 2 straight regular seasons? That's tough to say. Because of that, I think I'm going to say under.
And again, this is very interesting because let's say they go 11-1. There would be a push in this scenario. They have one of the most, as you said.
Okay, right. Okay, I push is what I'm saying. Okay. Then.
So you would be
push.
So they have one of the most manageable schedules in college football. So much so, BJ, that their biggest P5 win, if they get it, in this scenario, would be Kansas, who comes to Conway on the schedule. For as much as we talked about the playoff and inclusion and all that. If Coastal Carolina goes 12-0 with that schedule, are they even getting in a New Year's Six bowl at that point, given the relative lack of strength out there in their non-conference game? I think they got UMass and Buffalo and Kansas. I mean, is there a worse P5 school than Kansas for you to schedule? I don't know that there is one. And would they even make a New Year's Six undefeated with that schedule?
Yeah, I think it would depend on like Cincinnati, what they do, maybe a Boise State potentially, Louisiana, they could play them in the Sun Belt Championship game, even if they were to go undefeated in the regular season and lose. But I think Cincinnati potentially, BYU. So yeah, I think that's a fair question. UCF.
Yeah, I do agree, Kevin. It's going to be tough because once again, I mean, we it's who you schedule out of conference, and even if you beat them handsomely, which they're probably going to beat up on those guys, especially a team like Kansas, which I think they've beaten Kansas the last 2 years in a row starting off the season. They're going to, unfortunately for a team like Coastal Carolina, if BYU can't help you as far as like them having the second overall pick in the draft, a Heisman Trophy candidate, they got to have that consistency level. We used to see in Louisiana, used to seeing obviously App State. I think they got to show and prove that they can stay at the top. Kevin, week in and week out, and when you start going to the college football playoff committee, when those first rankings come out, we'll see just how much respect they're giving them Coastal Carolina boys.
Yeah, be interesting to see what happens there. These next couple, I call them believer bets. If you're a believer, you probably get on board with these. Boston College and Kentucky, both at 7. I think if you're a believer, you would take the over. If you're not, maybe you go with the under, but you're in a tight spot there. I think Boston College in a much more manageable division in their conference, they may actually hit the over. I know there's a lot of people trying to sell the belief that Kentucky is better than people think, but you're going to be looking at 8 wins? You're going to go over 7? I mean, those are two very call me a believer or a doubter picks right there in the ACC and SEC.
I think for Boston College, and I'm with you, but I think I'm at push right now. Wouldn't surprise me if they go over. And then with Kentucky, I think a very manageable non-conference schedule. You talk about the SEC East after Georgia and Florida. I have Kentucky at over. I have Kentucky at 8 wins.
I'll go with the push for Boston College. I mean, the thing about Kentucky, BJ, as much as I want to say over, I'm probably going to go push for Kentucky as well because, like you said, we started talking about these manageable out-of-conference schedules, rightfully so, but Kentucky is a team that's a fringe team too. You know they're going to play good defense. You know it's going to see what type of can they get the air raid going, or can they get can they throw the football at a consistent level for Kentucky this year? So for that, I'm going to go push with Kentucky because when you start talking about Kentucky, South Carolina, and Tennessee, they're going to be battling each other to get the 6th, maybe even that 7th win to get bowl eligible.
Speaking of Tennessee, the William Hill Caesar Sportsbook has Tennessee at 6. And this is a team that's replacing a lot, changing schemes, doesn't have a lot of returning starters from a year ago on either side of the ball. I mean, do they get to 6? I mean, that seems to be pretty lofty.
It's tough, and a lot of guys left in the transfer portal, right? And you're looking at a non-conference schedule that is pretty manageable outside of Pitt. That may be the key game right there when they face Pitt. It's tough because you have some winnable games, but defensively, I don't know what the expectations are. I'm going to say under for Tennessee. I think it's under 6. I don't think they get bowl eligible this year.
I think it's under as well. I mean, not too many years removed. I mean, BJ, when we started talking about other than Pitt, Georgia State went to Tennessee when they had here with Tola and those guys, and it still lost. So I just think that for me, it's everything that goes into it. You're losing all your good players. You're bringing in a new scheme. You're trying to get back to being you. As far as perception goes, you're still perception-wise the best team in the state, but that's not the reality of it anymore. Tennessee is scratching and clawing to make sure they beat Vanderbilt year in and year out. For me, I think that says a rebuild in a big way. So for me, I say under.
Look at a couple more teams. Let's go here to our state quickly. You got Georgia Southern down at 4.5. I mean, this is a team that's been pretty consistent under Chad Lunsford, BJ. Are you surprised at 4.5 there for them? Georgia Tech -5 with the over-under.
Yeah, with Georgia Southern, I think that's low. I understand the schedule's difficult, very difficult, but they're going to win more games than that. I would take the over for Georgia Southern. And then with Georgia Tech, just a really difficult schedule for a young program that's still sort of retooling. And you're talking about what? Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame, North Carolina. I mean, it's really difficult. Miami. I think for Georgia Tech, I would say push at this point.
Yeah, I would say, well, yeah, I would definitely go with the over for Georgia Southern. That's too much of a prideful bunch, a scrappy bunch. I know they got BYU coming to town this year. I just think that being able to pack Paulson and have like a little sense of normalcy, and they know that nobody's talking about them because of Coastal Louisiana and obviously App State. But I got them being over, and I mean, BJ, I mean, maybe I just believe, in them Georgia Tech boys a little bit too much, Coach Collins. I'm going to go over. I think that this Georgia Tech bunch, we forget, their two best players were true freshmen at the quarterback and running back position last year with Sims and Gibbs. I think you can learn a lot. Losing obviously is not something you want to go through, but it teaches you how to win, it teaches you how to prepare. And how many teams had their best two players be true freshmen last year? That would be Georgia Tech. I think those guys learned a lot. I think they are buying into what Coach Collins is selling, but I think they're going to have – but teams like North Carolina and Miami, they're going to have to win one of those two. I don't know which one it's going to be. Maybe it's going to be Miami when you look at the fact maybe they can take advantage of the Eric King not being 100%, but I see those guys getting bowl eligible, so I got them with the over.
That's a one tough schedule out there for them as well. I believe they have Clemson, Georgia. I think Notre Dame's on there as well. So you could be talking about 3 top 10 teams right off the bat that you're going to have to play at some point. Going to be very tough to get them to bowl eligibility. We got to step aside. We've got more to come, including a historical date for all sports fans out there. We'll get to that next. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We always enjoy celebrating anniversaries here on the show, BJ and Ben. And today, 17, hard to believe, 17 years ago today, the great Peter LaFleur saved Average Joe's Gym. Unbelievable. 17 years ago, Dodgeball put out there into the ethos as one of the great, I think, sports comedies of all time. Where do you think it stacks up as far as sports comedies go against some of the other legendary movies we've seen?
I mean, do y'all think Major League, and I know you've had a couple of Major Leagues, but do you think Major League is probably the sports comedy standard?
It's up there. I mean, it's up there. I mean, Caddyshack, I think, was a sports comedy. Man, dodgeball gonna be tough to beat because you got so many different characters. I mean, you had the guy that was playing like the pirate, and I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, Ben Stiller and those guys, they was really, really good. I mean, and when he say stuff like, my trainer Michelle. I mean, that stuff is good. I'm drawing a blank. Ricky Bobby. I mean, I'm not. What's the movie?
Oh, Talladega
Nights is like, I mean, it's up there. But I think what makes Dodgeball good is Vince Vaughn with the dry humor the whole time, like didn't really show any. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, when you wear shoulder pads, to be in a dodgeball, look at this. Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. If Cody was ever a character in a movie, that is him right there. I don't care what nobody says. That is it. I mean, and that's a compliment. No, you had Major League, BJ, is what got us really going with the sports comedies. I think for us, for our generation, it was really, really good. But Dodgeball 17 years ago, my goodness, it's been that long. But I mean, Happy Gilmore. I mean, I'm saying, hey, the price is wrong. I'm just saying that this. Yeah, you got some. It's in. I think it definitely makes the top 10, Kevin, because if we really start going through them, I definitely think Dodgeball, makes the top 10.
Yeah, I think to me, like Happy Gilmore is one of those because it took a sport like golf and just made it, just an iconic movie where it's, people know that the price is wrong. What are you too good for your home? Just go to your home. Like, I think it was, a confirmation of every weekend hack that tries to go out and play golf and the frustrations thereof. And then you have a guy that's out there, doing some things on the PGA Tour. I think that one has got to be up there, probably ahead. I would put it ahead of Dodgeball out there as well. But yeah, I mean, Dodgeball has so much that people still throw out today. It's like it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Like people throw that one out there.
Bold strategy, Cotton. I mean,
I was gonna say, have you ever dropped that in play-by-play, Kevin? Have you ever gone a dodgeball with your play-by-play?
No, I have not channeled my inner Jason Bateman at all. Yeah, I have not gone there just yet.
I mean,
hey, the time is still out there for me to do that. So you never know.
Wait, Kevin. So you telling me that when you and Christian do a play-by-play, you go and Kevin and Christian saying something, you don't give him that look like, stop trying to get me on my game. I'm telling you, I'm locked in. And Christian hit you with that's a bold move, Kevin. Is it? I'm just saying, no. I will say, man, I had another one too, man. God dang. I know BJ, Mighty Ducks is not a sports comedy. It's just, I don't know what that is.
It's a movie.
Huh?
It's a kid's movie. That's what it is.
I mean, would you agree, BJ? I mean, Mighty Ducks.
What about Little Giants?
I mean, the annexation of Puerto Rico. I will say this: when they were saying Farmaruski, I did not know he was calling a play. I thought he was saying that the kid's name was Farmaruski. I'm like, is that kid's last name? I'm just saying. I mean, I can admit that back in the day. I'm serious. I mean, I thought that I did when I was a kid. I'm like, Farmaruski. Is that kid? Maybe that's why,
Oh man.
I mean, the Little Giants. I mean, he goes. What does he say? Because the game is 90% mental and 10% physical, and they was giving them the little medicine or whatever. The little I'm having the blanks again. The things that bubble up in the
like
water?
Like an Alka-Seltzer.
And the kid goes, I use this for acid indigestion. I was like, what? No, look, you got some great ones out there. I just think that, Dodgeball is up there. Ben Stiller makes it all.
Do you consider Sandlot a comedy?
No. I mean, you got some funny parts in it. I mean, a league of their own. No,
That's not a comedy.
I'm just looking at the comment section over here. What are we missing? I mean, Major League is funny. God, man, I had a good one, man. I said the Ricky Bobby one. Semi-pro. Oh,
yeah, I was just thinking that the basketball with Will.
I mean, semi-pro is good. I mean, when they said, your mom is gone, they be like, you don't talk about my mom. Game's over. Nope. You don't break. I mean, love me sexy. Yes. So yes, you got a lot of that. But yes, BJ. I mean, yes, I thought that Fumbarooski was the kid's last name, just like I didn't know that Telvin Coleman was the best number 2 back in the league. So it happened. Oh my God.
I mean, again, I think you have something when there are quotes that stand the test of time. It's like you said, from dodgeball, you get a whole bunch of those that stick out. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. So it's always remember the 5 Ds: the dive, dip, duck, dive, and dodge. No, dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge, whatever. I screwed it all up. I didn't remember the 5 Ds. But anyway, 17 years ago, we got
Cody put a league of their own. Cody.
Yeah, I don't think it might be a
song. I'm just saying we are the members of the All American team. I do remember the songs and stuff on there. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? Hey, what? I'm just saying.
You're not going to sing the whole song for us now?
City, near and I can't remember the rest of it. But I will say this. That is just like the Better Business Bureau. No, A League of Their Own is not a sports comedy, people. So do not quote Cody on that one.
No, it's not. We've got more to come here on this Friday, including hot takes like A League of Their Own, comedy or no comedy. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on the show. Had a late entry there through the back channels there. Waterboy, somebody threw out there as well. I still think Happy Gilmore better than the Waterboy. Just Waterboy, great movie. Happy Gilmore, to me, ahead of it in the pantheon of sports comedy movies.
We had multiple Waterboy submissions. My dad texted in and said Waterboy, but Waterboy we got from a couple of different people. But you would go Happy Gilmore over Waterboy?
Yes, I do. I think that to me stands the test of time a little more than Waterboy. I mean, Waterboy's good. You know, Mama was wrong.
I'm about to say that the best part in the movie when he goes, no, Colonel Sanders, you're wrong. Mama's right. She goes, do we have to use 2 sheets when he go to bed? There go sheets over there. She was like this. What in the world? He like this. Gets a little rough. I like to drink some water before I go to bed. Waterboy is so good, man. I'm just saying that once again. Mr. Adam Sandler and all these different characters on there. I mean, the special teams coach, I still don't know what he's saying.
Doesn't he say right when he gets out on the field, he says, do what Captain Insano does to his opponents, and he thinks he's going to tackle him or body slam him, and he hits him with the eye poke?
Waterboy is that deal, man. I mean, whenever you use a riding lawnmower as your vehicle, you are that dude. So yeah. And the guy that said that you can do it, guy, that's Cody again. If Cody was ever a character in a movie, it would be the you can do it. That is Cody again. So I got Cody in Waterboy as well as Dodgeball.
So there we go. Just a couple more to add to the list after Dodgeball out 17 years ago today. We got a lot coming up in the final hour, guys, including it's game 6 tonight for the Atlanta Hawks against the 76ers. Can they get it done this evening? Is this one the one you need to get? If it goes back to Philly, do you feel bad about it, even though they've already taken one in Philly?
I mean, for me, it's tonight. Sports, especially series like this, are often momentum-based, especially for the perceived underdog. I don't know if Atlanta really is, but, you have the confidence right now. You have Philadelphia kind of wondering what's going on, and you're at home. You have the momentum of a historic fourth quarter, one of the greatest rallies in the history of the sport. I was looking online, I think on ESPN, where they have the little Vivid Seats link or whatever it is. You can barely get in there tonight for less than $400 or $500. So this is one of the most anticipated home games maybe in Atlanta pro sports history, and you're talking about a chance to pull off, again, the perceived upset, not have to deal with the extra pressure and the stress, the tension going on the road of a game 7. Yeah, it's got to be all about tonight.
It's all about that guy. It's all about Trae Young. He's built for this moment. We've seen him at his best, and he's having, Kevin, it's not arguably anymore. He is having the best run we've ever seen, Atlanta Hawk ever to have, and they go as he go. And I'm just looking forward to that second half for him to make those first half adjustments. Trae Young is a star that is blossoming in front of the world to see. He gets to put it all on display tonight, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and again, I think as he goes, this team will go. I do think, BJ, you can't afford to get down 18, 20 points again. We talked about this in the opening segment. I don't think that's a overall winning strategy just because you have done it. I don't think that means you need to allow yourself to get behind 18, 20 points again and try to complete a miraculous comeback yet again. That to me is extremely taxing on your team, and it makes it look easier than it is. Like, oh, we've been here before. Well, yeah, you did it once. I don't think that's a winning strategy to try to come from behind every single night to try to finish off a series.
Yeah, I think tonight is about the first quarter, setting a tone early, coming out, making a statement, again, carrying over what you did from the end of Game 5 into the start of Game 6. I'm with you. I think, it just takes so much from you physically, mentally to bounce back from being down 15, 18, 20 plus. If you can get off to a good start tonight, the pressure that's already on the 76ers only starts to mount. You start to feel it, play with confidence. An important first 15 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes tonight in Atlanta.
The best coach still remaining in the playoffs right now, his name is Nate McMillan. He coaches for the Atlanta Hawks. The young man, the guy's not getting enough credit for what he's done for this team. He is a win away, and as being an interim coach to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. Come on, Atlanta. You're going to have one of them MLKs. It's going to be rocking, man. Let's get it done.
Yeah, and we'll see what they can get done tonight. If not, they got to go back to Philly on Sunday night to try to finish it up in a Game 7, obviously at the home court of the 76ers. to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. As we mentioned, the Hawks' history not that awesome when it comes to postseason play. It would be the fourth time in 50 years since they moved to Atlanta that they would have been in an Eastern Conference Finals. And once they've gotten there, only won one game since they've been the Atlanta Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals. So a lot of anti-history to go against here over the next couple of nights if you are the Atlanta Hawks looking ahead. We'll get to that again coming up in the final hour. Braves and Cardinals coming up, game 2 of that 4-game series with an epic performance last night from Charlie Morton. We'll break that down. Sean Quinn set to join us coming up in the final hour of the program. Some exciting news there for the SEAC and potentially Savannah State. We'll get to get his thoughts about that coming up final hour as well. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. Final hour of 3 and Out here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Glad you are with us. We'll get to the Hawks. Game 6 tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers in the ATL. A lot of folks really getting fired up for that one. Could this be the Hawks' chance to close it out and get to the conference finals for just the 4th time in their Atlanta Hawks history if they get by the 76ers tonight? If they don't, it goes to Philly on Sunday evening. We'll also chat with Sean Quinn, Savannah State football head coach. Some interesting and exciting news there for Savannah State as it regards to the SEAC. Also, a lot of stuff going on around the program there coming up this summer as well. So we'll get the very latest with Sean Quinn on that as well. But a lot of stuff in the news today with regards to the National Football League and the NFLPA coming together on a COVID agreement. You've seen a lot of leagues do this. The MLB has passed stuff where they can relax rules for organizations once they meet a certain threshold of vaccinations. The NFL has kind of done the same in regards to players who have had the vaccine and players who have not. Basically, if you want to boil it down, I believe Cody's trying to put this up on our live stream for those of you watching that way. Basically, to boil it down very simply, if you want to know what the restrictions are, if you are a non-vaccinated player, it's basically the same guidelines that were in place more or less last year during 2020, during kind of the peak of all of this. So it's caused a lot of stir around the league, a lot of players sounding off about the NFLPA and kind of what they did or didn't do in some players' estimation for the players in regards to that as well. And I know Cole Beasley has sounded off, some other players out there as well. But basically, if you're not vaccinated, you got to get tested every day, and you're living under the same kind of restrictions you have out there on you had for 2020 in regards to, like, if you go on the road, what you can do, what you can't do, et cetera. So, Ben, I guess I'll start with whether I don't really want to turn this into a debate on if you should or shouldn't, whatever. But why would players be upset with the NFLPA for coming up with this policy?
Because all of a sudden, guys like Cole Beasley is getting mad at the NFLPA being what it's always been. The NFLPA is merely in the room to be told what is going to be given to the players. DeMar Smith has never, ever been a guy who's – and DeMar Smith is obviously the president of the NFLPA. He's never, ever been a guy that's been stern as it pertains to the players and as it pertains to the vaccination and things of that nature. You know what to expect if you don't get vaccinated. Like, think about it. If you don't want to get vaccinated, this is what you have to do. I don't know why Cole Beasley and anybody, I think Montez Sweat, I think Sam Darnold are guys that I know, high-profile guys that I know that haven't taken the vaccination. This is not about shunning them. This ain't about, pointing the finger at them. But if you didn't have to get vaccinated and you could just play with no protocols, 2020 wouldn't have been the way it went. And if you saw how it was, I mean, the getting tested every day to make sure we can have a season, I know that was not ideal. But you in the NFL, you mean to tell me, and this is just me, and I am not telling nobody what to do. Every single sacrifice you made to get to this point, you telling me that you don't want to take a vaccination that's bigger than just you, but it could affect everybody around you. I'm not telling you what to do, but the many sacrifices that I've seen guys make just to make it just to make it to Sunday, I am not faulting Cole Beasley. I want him to stand firm in what he believes, as well as Sam Darnold, as well as Montez Sweat. A wise man on this show once told me you need to stand for things that you do not agree with as well. So I do. I am not shunning them. But to say why the NFLPA is a joke, it's been a joke. It's been laughable. Did you see the collective bargaining agreement that the players just signed? That was laughable, but they used it. They used leverage against the players or DeMar Smith. So if Cole Beasley don't like it, simple. You get vaccinated. But if you have a problem with all these things, that just means that you feel as though that you should be the exception to the rule. I'm sorry, but they want to have fully. I mean, you want to take it farther than that. I think in Buffalo, I think that in order to come in the stadium, you got to be vaccinated. The whole stadium. But if you've ever seen a Buffalo Bills fan, they'll police themselves. Listen, dude, you want to come and cheer for us, get vaccinated. So I just think it's much to do about nothing, because this isn't a widespread thing. This is a couple of guys, couple of coaches here and there that don't like the protocol. Well, If you don't like it, you know what you need to do. But if you're not going to get it, don't complain about it. This is what you have to do. I think the part about can't eat with the team, in the training facility, can't eat with the team on the road. You got to make sure that you're socially distanced. They're actually making it so that you can participate. I would think that you will be more appreciative.
Yeah, from what I understand, and none of us obviously are medical professionals, but it looks like they're trying to, I guess, follow to a certain extent CDC guidelines and trying to keep everybody as safe and potentially healthy and potentially, outside of the high risk COVID environments to their abilities as much as they can, I guess. Is Cole Beasley and I guess some of the others, are they saying they wanted the NFLPA to, I guess, argue for less restrictions? Is that what they're wanting? I'm kind of struggling to understand some of the disconnect.
Look, you can't have it both ways. And when you start talking about businesses, and this is just what we know of the NFL, I can only imagine what, if you work for a certain company, some of the major industries, in this country, when you talk about these type of protocols, this is so that you can have a season. I know. And think about it. He's looking at what he has to do compared to what if you fully vaccinated, you don't have to do. Well, I mean, both, you shouldn't be able to get both things. So, yeah, I understand that, guys, everybody does things for different reasons. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not shunning them. I'm not disrespecting them. I respect what their position is. But the NFL wants to have full, say their full capacity. They're trying to get back to normalcy as soon as possible. And they're bringing in CDC experts to talk to the players about the vaccination. So they're trying to get as educated as they possibly can. And they're doing all that. And think about this, Kevin Beach, and they're still not saying you got to get it. Think about that. They're not saying, they're just making sure you know everything there is to know about this. So if Cole Beasley or Sam Darnold or, Montez Sweat or anybody that don't want to get vaccinated, 2020 showed you what you're going to be doing in 2021. And until there is an end to this thing, meaning there isn't any more COVID for us to be worried about, this is probably going to be your normal as long as you're still in the league.
Yeah, it's good. Again, very interesting from all sides. I know Cole Beasley put out a huge, a long statement on Twitter, basically saying, "Look, I'm going to do what I want to do." I guess. I mean, he didn't say it that way, but I mean, basically said, "Look, we got one life to live. I'm going to go out and do the best I can to remain healthy, be healthy, and if there are things that I want to do, I'm going to do them. If that means I can't play, I guess I'm willing to do that." But it sounds to me, and I don't want him to speak for anybody else, but it sounds to me like he's saying, "Look, if I'm still on the roster, I'm telling you right now, you're going to find me because I'm not going to do the protocols." So I mean, it's basically what he's saying there. So I think it'll be interesting to see when that comes to fruition, if that's what happens, or if guys are willing, as he said, to go take the fines all the way, potentially to stand up for what they think is in their best interest. And again, I guess only time will tell that, but that's kind of where Cole Beasley is at with this whole thing. If you read a post he put up on Twitter a little bit earlier this afternoon.
If Cole Beasley think that he's going to shift the dynamic as it pertains to COVID-19 protocols because he's going to get fined, no, you're going to get suspended. Because once again, it's bigger than just you wanting to eat with the team, work out with the team. You could have potentially affected to where the whole team has to go on COVID protocols because guys are getting affected. Cole Beasley, I respect you, but nothing moves the needle more than quarterbacks. Most people don't know who Cole Beasley is. Some Buffalo fans might not know who he is. He is going to be known for the wrong reasons. I respect it. But if you start saying, "Man, I'm going to buck the system," well, you gotta pick and choose when you buck the system. If they saying you're going to be distanced, I mean, Sean McDermott and all them, Mr. Smidgen under 6'5", Josh Allen, they're not going to have you be the reason why they can't have a full roster, because if you ain't got enough players, you can forfeit games this year. I'm sorry, Cole. It's going to be bigger than the money you're willing to pay. They're going to sit your behind down.
Well, and I guess the team and the league and those who came up with this set of protocols are looking at it as we're trying to keep individuals healthy. We're also trying to keep, the collective, the team, the organization, everybody that's in and out of the facility as healthy as possible. Yeah, it's hard to kind of look into the future and say, this is going to happen or this won't in terms of, who gets fined or what. But I think, they're not going to be happy, I don't think, if you're not trying to abide by these protocols.
I understand. Like I said, I understand. Drawing a line in the sand and trying to stand up for what you believe in. But time and place matters. It depends on where you are and what you're talking about. Cole, you will be out there by yourself. You're gonna have guys supporting you from afar. But it's this. Well, I'm gonna go against it. You think you're gonna go against it because now it's about the product. And if the product on the field is going to be affected because one guy wants to buck the system, well, they will buck him the hell up out of it. I'm telling y'all, it's not going to go the way Cole thinks it's going. And I respect it. But when's the last time one man went up against the NFL and won? I will wait. That kind of stuff don't happen.
And again, we'll see how this continues to play out as players kind of sound off on social media in response to the NFLPA's agreement with the NFL here for 2021 season. We got more to come here on 3 and Out. Sean Quinn, head football coach at Savannah State. He will join us when we return. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Hit us up on Twitter. Love to hear from you at Pigskin Radio. Good to have you along here on 3 and Out on this Friday afternoon. Kevin Thomas, BJ Bennett, Ben Troop. Glad you're making us a part of your day. U.S. Open going on round 2 heading into the weekend. Brooks Koepka up there tied for 4th, 2 shots off the lead. Bryson DeChambeau at even. So looks like Bryson's potential wish may be true. They don't have to play together into the weekend. If those scores hold up, they'll be just fine not having to talk to one another on the golf course.
You're trying to add more to the rivalry. You're talking trash from afar, man, about the scores. You want this rivalry to be a big deal.
Certainly. And again, we'll keep you up to date on that, see how that one turns out. But I believe we have found the head football coach of the Savannah State, Sean Quinn. What is on your shirt, sir?
Hi, Tide. I'm representing the hometown. I live out here on Tybee, so I just finished Tour de Quinn. So if I'm panting, it's not because I'm that excited to be on the show. I just finished biking 15 miles. So
you don't break out in the sweats when you see me and DJ and Ben on the screen. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I do. I was getting nervous, so I had to get my bike ride to stay calm. But Tour de Quinn hits a city near you, so we got training camp coming up. So I'm trying to drop all this extra poundage here, and there's a lot to drop. So a lot of riding ahead of me. So how you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How's summer treating you? I know you guys have some camps coming up kind of next month for folks to get involved with.
Yeah, we July 9th and July 16th at Memorial Stadium. We've got 2 big one-day prospect camps. We call them Friday Night Light Camps. They're tfasavannah.com you can go to. And next week we'll have 14 teams, almost 500 high school players will be over at Sally Mood. We're going to have a big 7-on-7 tournament next week with 14 local high schools. So that'll be awesome to do, good recruiting opportunity, and also a chance to have some teams come out next week. But July 9th, July 16th, we've got our one-day camps, and we've signed over 25 guys out of those camps the last 2 years. So they're good deals for us. So excited about that. Been at a bunch of camps, been doing the camp circuit all around the South trying to find prospects. And it's kind of open season, wild, wild west on recruiting right now. So got my guns going to blazing here, see what happens.
And Coach, when you guys evaluate, obviously these camps are great and great opportunities for exposure. What are you and your staff looking for when you look at guys beyond obviously just talent and the ability to go out there and play?
Competitiveness and how fast and quick they are and in person, how do they compete? Biggest thing, because, Ben will tell you, you guys all know this, to be successful, persistence is the key. And what kind of grit and toughness does a guy have? And, are they a good teammate? They work. And you can see that in person a lot better than when you can when you're doing that off of film. But obviously the film from the season is the most tell and tale, but this is a good way to get an idea, and then you go back and watch a guy in person in the fall, and then you go from there. So it's kind of an ongoing process. This is the first step. So it's good to get guys in Savannah and also go see them. I was at Kennesaw's camp. They had 1,200 campers. Mercer had a big camp. So there's, go out and see a lot of guys and get a chance to see other college coaches. There are about 300 college coaches there dying to get out and finally get to go recruit guys in person.
Hey, Coach, you talk about the 7-on-7 that you guys are going to have next week. How much bigger has the 7-on-7 gotten? I remember when I was coming out, it was kind of like something that you use to kind of be able to go up against other high schools in your area. Now it's being used as really like the top evaluator to be able to get some of the best talent in one spot.
Gotcha. It's still communist to me. I'm still going to bring my hammer and sickle out there. There's no pads, no hitting, 4-second rule, but it's a good way to do it because what it does, it gives you a chance to evaluate. It's gotten a lot bigger. Obviously we're still dealing with the high school teams specifically that do it, but as far as, it's an evaluation tool, it's a lot bigger tool than it was, let's say 5 years ago for say, and then, big here with the Cam Newton stuff. And so for us, it's a good chance to just get some guys and see what they're like against other good talent. And, one of the great things is most of the teams that are going to be at this one are Chatham County, and that's the core of who we're recruiting. And it'll be interesting to see because there's been a resurgence in city football here in the last 2 years with Islands, New Hampstead, Windsor Forest, a bunch of schools I can name that have really gotten a whole lot better with new coaches in there and just done a really good job. And there's great football coaches in this area. So it'll be interesting to see just as the different high schools get better and better, how the talent level goes up, and obviously more people recruit in this area than ever before.
Sean Quinn joining us here, head football coach, Savannah State. And Coach, I understand you guys had some good news as a conference. Apparently the SEAC's got a deal in place for football and basketball to potentially get some games on ESPN in 2021, 2022.
Yes. That's exciting news. Anytime we can get on television and get some publicity, if they need me to wear a pink tutu, I'll be wearing it. But I was planning on wearing my Tiger King outfit on the sidelines unless the SIAC objects, but that's the plan. So little satin look, a little bright pastels. We'll see how that goes over on game day.
I was going to say, Coach, you may have a number of different ideas, but how important is that? How important is that exposure, obviously, for guys, for people to learn more about your program, the league, the history, the tradition, the great playmakers you guys have, and just what your program's all about?
Well, it's big because, a lot of times guys have never been here, never seen us, and get a chance to watch us on TV, see us on film, see us in person, and guys get really excited. And just a chance to promote the league. The Gulf South and at our level, Division II is the SEC. And so our league is a good up-and-coming league. And, we've got good coaches in the league. And there's, obviously a lot more talented teams than us in the league. So to expose the league and hopefully create some more buzz about the league that, we can get 2 or 3 teams in the playoffs every year instead of just one.
Hey, Coach, you talking about getting out there, at Camp DeQuinn. You out there just like on this bike going 15 miles. You at Kennesaw State. You at Mercer. We might not even know who you are when we see you in the fall, man. You might have your bougie on, like, what's up, Coach?
I got a long way till I can even go into Gap and shop because they don't even carry my size right now. So I got a long way to go, and but I'll get there. But I'm glad it's hot, so we'll see where I can get to. I just got to stay away from the buffets and barbecue, and I'll be okay. So
stay away. That's sounds criminal to stay away from the barbecue here in the South. Come on, how do you stay away from that?
Well, I got to go back to the. I'm going to go back to my vegan thug life and not eat meat or anything for a while. But that was kind of bland, but it worked. So it's kind of a trade off. So I don't know what I'm going to do. But if not, I'm going to have to order all new coaching gear for the fall. So I think I probably better get to that point. So.
Coach, what's your schedule like coming up? Ben was mentioning, you've been all over going to camps. You got the camps coming up. When does kind of fall start to take shape for you guys in terms of the football season?
Well, what we do right now, month of June, the guys are working out with the strength staff in the mornings. And then in July, we get to do OTAs, which is a voluntary workouts where the guys will be with us after they lift and condition for some ball and skill work. And we'll do that for about a month. And then we'll start training camp in August 3rd. So it's coming quick. July, like I said, we kind of build up to the training camp and guys are lifting, conditioning and doing all that. And then you'll get some work with us. We've got a number of new players, freshmen already here working out with us, and a bunch more will be here in July. And then August, we training camp and get right into the season. So we're in the 3rd phase of our season, Kevin. We kind of do it 5 phases, with the summer being the 3rd, 4th being training camp, and 5th being the season. So to me, the 3rd and 4th is where you make your team. And so these next 2-3 months will be big on where this team is and how good we can be.
And Coach, obviously 2020 was different for everybody, especially for you guys, as far as like having everything taken away from you, watching other leagues still move on and have their fall seasons, to be able to do what you guys did in the spring. What is the fall going to mean to you this year and your team? Because you guys, really survived the gauntlet. To be able to take football away from football players and coaches is not something anybody could even imagine. What is the fall going to mean to you this year?
Just a chance to get back to normal. Obviously, last year was tough on everybody in every facet of life, and just a chance to get our guys back. They're here to get education, but one of the reasons they chose Savannah State was to play and be part of the football program, and to have a third of what they do on a daily basis taken away from them. That created some challenges, and idle time makes for idle waste. So I know our guys are excited to get back, and we had really good mojo and momentum going into the fall. And so, we got a new team, new season. We got to start from ground one and from the bottom up. And that's what we're doing right now. So I'm just excited to get back out there and see what we can do. We got a really good group of new guys coming in, freshmen, and some transfers we just recently signed. So be interested to see how they get into the mix with us. I tell everybody, a team's like a pot of gumbo where the sauce is a little different every year and the ingredients. So we'll see what those ingredients are this year as we get into camp and into the season.
Is it starting to feel normal? I know you kind of said trying to get back to normal, but you just now been able to go back out and kind of recruit the old way. You're talking about a summer schedule leading up. I know last year you kind of tried to do some of that with the hope that you would get some games in. But is this starting to feel like normal, like, hey, we're doing all this and we're actually going to play coming up in September?
Yeah, where it hit me when I went to Kennesaw State to their camp, and we get pulled up in the parking lot, and there was 300 coaches in the parking lot coming to evaluate the kids, and there was over 1,000 kids there, and so that was really where it hit me more than anything. And just as people have been vaccinated and the numbers have went down and things have begun to turn normal. That really was a couple weeks ago for me. 2 weeks ago was really where I said, okay, this is going to happen. And, there's going to be some bumps along the way. But I think last year, Division I having a full season without really any major issues was able to prove that you could do it. So I just think now it's just learning how to adapt to it. And, as more and more as the virus hopefully goes away and more folks are safe and all that, we're able to just kind of get back to normal. I think everybody's ready to do that. And I know I am. And, the biorhythms of a regular year, you're ready to get back into. And, as much as I enjoyed playing the spring football is not the same as playing in the fall when the Bermuda turns different colors and it's time to play. So excited to get back to that for sure.
And I know everybody thinks about a return to normal in terms of a traditional, schedule, logistics, games, but how nice is it just to have the opportunity to be around the team more, guys be around each other, engage? I know that's such an important part of any team.
Yeah, for me, for us, we're a blue collar team. That term's used a lot, but our strength is in unity and our numbers and us being on the same page. And we're going to play teams that are far more talented. So for us, that's the secret sauce, is the togetherness. And so to get to do that and do team bond and things. And, we didn't get the chance to do a lot of those team things that we normally do, like community service and being out in the public together as much as we normally do. And so that to me is really important for us to develop chemistry. And I know our guys are excited just to be able to be around each other and be able to kind of be normal. And that's the great time in their life, for them to be college students and enjoy being the perks of being a college person.
Now, Coach, I've heard people say they're vegans, and I've heard people use the word thug. I've never heard a vegan thug diet before ever used together. I mean, are you gonna be if you get back on your veganism and you ain't eating no meat? I mean, are you gonna be a little bit more uptight, man? You a meat eater.
I know it's every once in a while I'll smell a cheeseburger and the left leg will start shaking. So I'll try to hold out as long as I can. But, there is a lot of health values to it and a lot of things that I enjoy about it. But obviously one of those being you lose some weight, but, a good cheeseburger or the smell of bacon's hard. I think I told you the story. I was recruiting last January. I was doing a home visit and I hadn't eaten meat in about 4 weeks. And the mom of the visitor, of a young man, Jaquisto Lee, we signed, she was making breakfast for us and she had freshly cooked bacon in the kitchen. And it was all I could do not to get up and jump on the counter and eat all the bacon because I hadn't had it in 4 weeks. So, but he signed with us and I stayed off the bacon for at least another day or two. So it all worked out.
You are a man of great willpower, Coach. Right? I tell you what, that's hard to turn down, is fresh bacon right there in the kitchen, man.
Well, trust me, if she said you needed to eat the bacon for him to sign, I would have ate the bacon. I could have had a good excuse, but you got to do what you got to do in recruiting. So we'll see if that. Hopefully, I can get back to that world right now. So cucumbers and alfalfa sprouts, here I come. So.
Coach, tell folks again when those camps are coming up and how they can find out how to. Get signed up with you guys. Yeah.
The July 9th and July 16th at Friday Night Lights camps, tfasavannah.com. It's tfasavannah.com. They can sign up for July 9th, July 16th, and come out freshmen through senior ages and get looked at, evaluated, and compete against a bunch of really good players from the 912. Excited to do it.
Coach, we'll let you go cool off after your marathon bike ride, and we appreciate you coming on, man. Enjoy the weekend.
Hey, you two guys, appreciate you. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. See you guys.
Coach Shawn Coed joining us here at 3 and Out all across the Southern. It's actually 5:33, so he's a little deep into 5. But yes, glad to have him on the show. And again, if you have a high school kid, play some football, they've got some prospect camps coming up in the month of July for you to check out. We've got more to come. It's Game 6 tonight in the ATL with the Hawks and the 76ers. Can the Hawks finish it off? We'll get to that next. 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It is 3 and Out on a Friday afternoon. Kevin, BJ, and Ben. ATL going to be rocking tonight with the Braves and the Cardinals, but right down the road, it's Hawks and 76ers. Game 6, as fired up as you've seen Hawks Nation in a long, long time. Hashtag believe Atlanta. Because, as I said yesterday, earlier in the year, wasn't anybody believing when they had 14 wins and 20-some-odd losses and they made a coaching change. It was underachieve Atlanta is what everybody was hashtagging. And here they are, a win away from the Eastern Conference Finals, where they've only been 3 other times since moving to Atlanta from St. Louis. So very big stakes tonight for this Hawks team if they're able to go out and finish it off.
And I think the sense of urgency, Ben, has to be there. I understand you got 2 games to win 1, essentially, but to go back to Philadelphia, and if that happens, of course, the 76ers will have won tonight, and I think the momentum and kind of the energy of the series will have shifted back to the 76ers. This is what it's all about. I mean, to revisit Kevin's point, if you just said, hey, you're going to have a game, and a couple of weeks ago, even much less a couple of months ago, you're going to have a game where you have to beat Philly once in Atlanta. And if you win, you go to the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, come on. And it's not that your intensity is going to intentionally be any different, but I just think you got to go after it tonight. I think you view and treat Game 6 as Game 7. You want to make a statement early. I know you've played a lot of the series from behind in the first half. That takes a toll on you physically, mentally. Get out strong, get off to a good start. Attack the glass defensively. You saw much better efforts in recent second halves, but I think you treat Game 6 like it's Game 7.
I think you have fun tonight. I think if you are Trae Young and Clint Capella and those guys and Collins, you have fun because you got on the MLKs, which think about this. They're doing the same thing the Lakers did when the Lakers was like, when you're talking about they wear the Kobe jerseys or the all-black jerseys, it's like it's showing them, look, we're willing to go with what the norm is. It used to be everything has to be traditional. We're not going to wear no alternate jerseys in a game of this magnitude. No. We have confidence in these players. They have proven that they can do this, but they've earned this spot. All the pressure is still on the guys from Philly. All the pressure is still on Embiid and Simmons and those guys. But are we truly, like, embracing and really appreciating what Trae Young is doing? Trae Young is going, like you said, Kevin, Trae Young is giving a team history that doesn't have any. The last time they won a game in the Eastern Conference Finals was in the 60s. All I'm saying is nobody on this show, not everybody works at this network, but nobody on this show was born the last time the Hawks won a game in the Eastern Conference Finals. BJ, Trae Young is a superstar, not a star. He's a superstar, and he loves this stuff. Embracing the way he embraced that first series in MSG. I mean, looking over at, Spike Lee and those guys, that's showing that he understands the history of Madison Square. Now he's going up against Embiid and Simmons in the process. Nobody's talking about the Hawks because they're the Hawks, not because they're not good. I think that if they get that win tonight, it shows too that this Hawks team needs to be taken seriously. I know you still got those 2 teams over there in Milwaukee and Brooklyn, but they've earned this spot. Atlanta, appreciate this moment. Appreciate the fact that you're talking about a Falcons team that, okay, we're going to see that they're a team that's trying to reload. You're talking about a Braves team that's 3-time NL East champions. You're talking about, I know Kevin, like Atlanta United team that's not too many years removed from winning it all. Atlanta is on the brink of getting back to what we hope they can be, and every team is good. But if Ronald Acuna Jr. is the next great star in baseball, Trae Young isn't far away in basketball, and that's taking nothing away from the guys, like LeBron, like Kyrie. Trae Young is doing it in the ATL where nobody thought he could do it, and everybody going to look at the fact that we had Luka. Trae, go out there and do what you do. If they do it with them MLKs on, people going to say, do you remember what they did when they have on the MLKs in Game 6? Sorry, Philadelphia, but if Joel Embiid wasn't an MVP candidate, this would be much to do about nothing, because I know that Doc Rivers is a better coach on paper than Nate McMillan, but he's getting out-coached right now by interim.
Well, I mean, I think the bottom line when you look at Philly is, if you're Atlanta, is what does Joel Embiid have left? Obviously, he's playing injured. He is having to literally carry his team, BJ. He and one other guy were the only 76ers to make a basket in the entire second half. Like, you can't win that way at any level. LeBron James would have a hard time winning a game if he and one other player were the only players to score. I know you can take over quarters and halves, and we've seen Steph Curry do it. And even when Steph Curry goes for 30 in a quarter, there are other guys that are contributing offensively to help him out. It is not just, all right, Steph, you're just going to shoot, even though it seems that way, until they can't beat us. I think if you're Atlanta, you have to press Embiid and make him feel the burden of carrying this team across, not even the finish line, just the next leg of the race, when you know he's trying to gut it out, maybe at less than 100%, because the last 2 games have shown that it is Joel Embiid almost by himself when it matters. I mean, Ben Simmons, 0 for 1 in game 4. Obviously, he didn't even make a basket in game 5 in the second half. Like, where's the help from your so-called other star out there who sits the bench in crunch time because he can't make free throws and he's a liability to be out there off? I mean, that tells you everything kind of you need to know about the 76ers at this point, is that their supposed second star, their number 2 guy, can't be on the floor in crunch time because he's a liability. Where else does that play? So I think if you're Atlanta, don't get behind and make Embiid feel the crunch of really having to carry this basketball team to the next leg if they want to stay in this thing.
And I think you can continue to put pressure on Philadelphia when you're in transition. I think Atlanta can be effective in the half-court game, but that might play into Philadelphia's strength a little bit with their size and athleticism and length. When you get out and run and Trae Young is kind of seeing the floor and he can either attack the basket or kick it out to the perimeter for 3-point shots, I think that's where Atlanta is at its best. The Hawks are really difficult to stop in transition. And to go back to what we've said all week, that starts defensively. You force bad shots, you get the long rebounds, you're already out and running, and it becomes a rhythm that benefits you and your style of play more than Philadelphia, especially when you're at home, and you have that atmosphere and that energy and that crowd. So I think the first couple of minutes are going to be important. Set the tone, show that you're viewing this as a chance to end the series. You're bringing everything you got. You're viewing game 6 as game 7. I think the home crowd's going to be important. But yeah, I think you're going to get a feel for how this game is going to go. Maybe wrong. I know we've had some dramatic runs on both sides of this thing in this series, but I think you're going to get a feel for how this game's going to go pretty early tonight.
Atlanta should be aggressive, but still maintain their poise. Atlanta should, go out there and play loose. And I do think your strategy, Kevin, is important. But foul Embiid. Force him into foul trouble, because the last thing the Philadelphia can afford is their big man to be on the bench because he's in foul trouble. I just think that this plays heavily into Atlanta's game, because Atlanta has proven they can win games with the lead or coming back or being down a deficit. Now, I'm not a fan of spending the whole game trying to get back into the game. But young legs matter. A lot of these guys, on this Atlanta squad, 21, 22, 23 years old. I mean, I think Lou Williams is the elder statesman, old lemon pepper Lou. And I just think that Atlanta needs to embrace these guys. Atlanta really, really needs to get past this. This is the Atlanta Hawks of old. No. Trae Young is the guy for the job. He wants to be here, and dare I say, he's playing out of his mind. People thought coming out of Oklahoma he wasn't big enough. Well, he's never going to be big. Never been big. Big and Trae, outside of his game, no, he's not a big dude. But when you talk about what he brings to the table, this comes down to Atlanta's role players outplaying the role players for the Philadelphia Eagles, and their star, Trae, outperforming, Joel Embiid, and keeping this team, getting this team involved. Clint Capella and Bogdanovich, Collins and those guys, keep doing what y'all doing. Nate McMillan, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I hope they go ahead and seal the win today. And dare I say, Kevin, 2 storied franchises, the Knickerbockers and the Philadelphia 76ers, got taken down by the lowly Atlanta Hawks with a young guy who shouldn't even be, talked about as far as like in the top 10. Is Trae Young a top 10 talent? I believe the playoffs is proven.
All right, let me ask both of y'all this real quick, and we're a long way away from this. I understand if you win and you advance, hey, it doesn't matter. But who do you think's the, better matchup if you go to the Eastern Conference Finals if you're Atlanta?
I would go with Brooklyn because they hurt. They banged up. The thing about Milwaukee, BJ, they play really, really good basketball. When they on their game, who's going to be stopping Giannis and those guys, and PJ Tucker and those guys? I just think that if you can get KD is KD, leave him. You can't do nothing with the Slim Reaper. Can't do nothing with him. But James Harden, he's still real slow, and he's going to be trying to get fouled. I don't know if Kyrie gonna even be able to play with his ankle. I would go with Brooklyn because they the walking wounded. You don't want nothing to do with them guys from Milwaukee.
Yeah, I think I agree with Ben. I know people say, well, they were hurt. Doesn't matter. In the scorebook of life, it still would say you beat them. Whether they were at full strength or not, that's the way you have to play it out. But yeah, I think that would be a better matchup for Atlanta as well. And they've got a game 7 they've got to get by before they get there. So it very well could be Milwaukee. So I think if I'm Atlanta, it sounds weird to say, give me the team that's kind of the put together, built for the finals type team, but that may actually be the better matchup for Atlanta if they get there to the finals. We'll come back, look at that game some more. Also, the Braves and Cardinals coming up this weekend. Adam Wainwright going to pitch tomorrow night for the Cardinals against the Atlanta Braves. Talk about the one that traded away. We'll never let them live that down, BJ, for as long as we live. We got more to come. 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you along here, 3 and Out, all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Busy night in the ATL tonight. Hawks and 76ers. Braves actually, dare I say, could go for 2 in a row tonight against the St. Louis Cardinals. It seems like the Braves have done pretty well against the Central to this point. BJ, you get out of the National League East and not the Toronto Blue Jays. They seem to do okay for the most part. Could they see a better, dare I say, back-to-back performance after Charlie Morton goes 7 2/3 no-hit inning, or 7 into the 7th inning with a no-hitter, I should say, last night. 8 full innings on the mound for you.
Well, and just like Charlie Morton did it yesterday, you need Max Fried to do it tonight. You're talking about Max Fried, a guy that you projected to be your ace, especially without Mike Soroka. And, there have been moments where that's been the case, but there have been stretches where he has not pitched like an ace. So a big spotlight start for Max against a really good team. You're still trying to get some momentum. I don't think we've seen the Braves play their best baseball yet, or kind of put together, 7, 8, 9, 10 quality games in a row. So a lot of momentum from last night, a lot of momentum in the city. Hopefully Max Fried can come out and give you a good, strong start tonight.
You hope so, right? I mean, Charlie Morton, Kevin, we always talking about that spark. Where are you going to get that spark from? Well, Charlie Morton could have hopefully been that spark. I mean, did we say a streak? Have we even talked about streaks? I mean, at a consistent level for the Braves this year, that was something that became so normal in years prior. But I do hope that, Max Fried kind of feeds off what Charlie Morton did last night and be able to go out there. And, when people say, are we looking for Max Fried to go 7? Yep. I would hope so. Max Fried's supposed to be the one leading the way when you're talking about the starting pitching. Hopefully he can get back to the vintage Max Fried, even though I don't know if he's been in the league long enough to be vintage Max Fried. But Kevin, get 2 in a row against the Cardinals team is always going to scratch and claw and be competitive. Hopefully that can end up carrying over to a series past tonight.
And again, it depends on how you believe in like sports karma or how that all evens out. But I saw somebody tweet this. Did you have to sacrifice a Braves win the other night to get a Hawks dub in the postseason? So can it be possible? Can you go 2-0 in the city of Atlanta tonight, BJ? Or does somebody have to be the sacrificial lamb in a big game here?
Well, look, I think the Hawks game is a lot bigger. Maybe you give up a couple of Braves games to get that Hawks win and advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. Are you kidding me? So, yeah, you might have to give up a couple of games for the Atlanta Braves if that's the case to move forward. But, yeah, it would be cool, obviously, first and foremost, if the Hawks could get that dub in advance. But, yeah, if the Braves could get some momentum and get a win as well.
It's going down to the piece up A-Town down tonight. We don't got to be all modest, act like them Trae Young led boys ain't nice. Y'all know what it is, 76ers. Y'all fan base is fake. Y'all, the process, what is that? We deserve this in the state of Georgia. Shout out to Nate McMillan and the piece up A-Town down Hawks. Get it done with them MLKs on your chest.
It's bound to happen. BJ would say math would dictate if the Hawks get to a finals at some point, right? Come on. It's the math dictates. That being said, we appreciate Sean Quinn joining us here on this Friday. Tyler Gillum joined us from Savannah Bananas back in hour number 1 as well. If you missed any portion of the show, ESPNCoastal.com, Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify. We got a YouTube channel. No reason you can't pick up any piece you may have missed of 3 and Out, not just today, but all throughout the week. ESPNCoastal.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Check out our YouTube channel as well. We'll see you Monday here on 3 and Out.